got to get you right and focused first, so that you can deliver the services that God has put inside of you, right? Better than anyone. So those are simple but critical. I'm going to put a pin in that, because I'm really in a spirit in this today, about to tear up, because as I think about these things, they're so profoundly true and has guided my entire life that it really took some time to think about what those things. The things that I read and this and so forth, this comes over time. And I'll put a pin in that as well. But I want to say it a little bit differently. Old keys will not open new doors.
Okay.
A house divided amongst itself will not stand. Let me say it a little bit more provocatively. Ain't nobody saving black people but black people. It's been 400 years, and we ain't saved. Who in the hell are we waiting for? We're waiting for us. And when we get that right, when you look at the demographics, the numbers, there are 8 billion people in the world. 16% of those people are white. The balance are melanated people, dominated by people of African descent on the continent and throughout the diaspora, 1.5 billion, and then dominated by Asians. So what am I saying to you? I'm saying to you that we are not outnumbered. We're out-organized.
Right?
Right? You feel me on this?
Yeah.
We're not outnumbered. They know who we are. Better than we know who we are. That we are the children of the slaves that would not die. That we have the genetic encoding of the great kings and queens of Africa. That we were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in caves in the Caucasus Mountains, practicing cannibalism, eating each other. So if everything happens for a reason, it serves us in some special way, and we will never understand that reason looking forward, and we will only understand it looking backwards. Maybe we were not brought here. Maybe we were sent here. Do you believe that God would put his weakest people here to do his toughest job? I don't think so. How could an America who could morally, spiritually, and biblically justify the kidnapping, raping, and pillaging of another 2 people in the United States? Natives already in America and Africans brought to America have any moral or spiritual grounding? And perhaps had God not sent African people here, America might have self-destructed by now. That's how powerful we are. And by the way, our ancient history is all coming out now. I just posted something on my social media, but it's going viral. Things that have been revealed by Russians just recently. Ancient art that they've had away and saved. A major church for the first time in the history of Russia allowed the public to go into. One might see the name Georgia. And the massive number of paintings on the wall in this church of all of the disciples, including Jesus, as well as Mary, are all black. imagine if we had known this, had it not been stolen, misrepresented? They know who we are. It's now our turn to internalize that. I grew up in a foster home. I'm from a family of 11 children, 8 boys and 3 girls. My father came to this country in the early 1900s from Guyana. Married a beautiful, fair-skinned sister, Ida Mae Walter, in Georgia. And it was 11 of us. At 2 years old, I'm next to the youngest of the 11. My mother became mentally ill. And she had to be institutionalized for her entire life. At 2. And because my father was a cab driver, he couldn't take care of 11 children. So we were orphaned. So I spent the first I spent 3 years in an orphanage with 2 other siblings. We were broken up by 3s, because nobody would take 11 children. So we spent 3 years in an orphanage, and then a family took us in as foster kids, all 3 of us. And I'm thankful. It was traumatic. We thought that they were the evilest people on earth. And, but as I reflect, and I've had this conversation with my sister who moved to Charlotte from New York many, many times, in spite of what we thought about the horses, Francis and Uriah horse, what they put into us, because they were tough, and they believed in corporal punishment. They were Roman Catholics. Roman Catholics. So every Sunday, they would dress us up, and the 3 of us would go to Mass at a Roman Catholic church. And we would get on our knees as ordered by our parents. And back in the day, in all churches, including black churches, there was a picture or some sort of statue of a cross and a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus. And that's what we worshiped and prayed to for the first 18 years of our lives. I cannot even begin to tell you the psychological impact that had on us, that we absolutely believed that white people were superior to us. They were our God. It was Jesus. Well, that was all wrong. And they didn't do it with any malice in their heart. They just didn't know any better. Could you imagine, for those years, I had been on my knees, or my siblings on our knees, praying to a black Jesus and black disciples, how that would have impacted how I saw the world. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. We are. Make no mistake about that. In spite of all of the hills and valleys and twists and turns and picadillos, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. A 400-year fight to get us to where we are. 250-year fight from 1619 to 1864 for freedom. And we don't have to engage in that anymore. Now, different kinds of freedoms that we're fighting for, and the maintenance of the freedoms that we have won. But the fundamental freedom that we needed to express ourselves as people, that's been done for us. And it took 13 generations to get that. Then there was a 100-year fight between 1864 to 1964. So, the question that we have to ask ourselves, the deeper question, is are we worthy as Black people of that legacy? And if you feel that we are worthy of that legacy, what then will be the legacy of our children? I'm talking about Generation X, Y, Z, and Generation Alpha. What will we be saying about them 200 years from now? Baby boomers, we know what our legacy is. It's civil rights, voting rights, public access. You were born in the 40s, you participated in some level in that. I hope that the legacy of succeeding generations will be economics is the new Black power. Economics is the new Black power. We cannot allow our legacy to end with the civil rights struggle. In 1962, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was running the streets of Harlem. It was on 125th Street and Lenox Avenue. It was like it was yesterday. And there was a young man on a soapbox speaking. His name was Stokely Carmichael. He later changed his name to Kwame Ture, moved to Africa, married Miriam Makeba, the great African song stylist. And he said something so deep and so profound that it actually changed the trajectory of my life. Now, I did not know it at that time. I just knew that he planted let's call it, a seed in my subconscious mind. I listened with interest. So I'm going to repeat to you what Stokely Carmichael said on that corner, verbatim. I'm not going to paraphrase it. I looked it up. I Googled it. He said, no Black person in this country makes any advancement solely based on his or her talent or worth. All individual advancement is based on mass struggle. We make no progress in this world without shedding our blood. Therefore, your advancement and success does not belong to you. It belongs to the people. And if you do not use your success or advancement for the benefit of your people, it is a betrayal of the people who shed their blood for you. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I didn't know how I would effectuate that, how that would impact my life, the trajectory that I would take in life, but it has. I'm here to speak about it right now. The great Nobel Prize winning Nobel laureate, the late Toni Morrison, said it differently. She said, if you are free, you need to free somebody else. And if you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else. The late, great African-centered scholar, Dr. John Henry Clark, who was actually the mentor of Malcolm X. He was from Harlem. He said, take what you do best and do it for your people. That is our role. I don't think it's any more complicated than that. Take what you do best and do it for your people. It doesn't mean that you have to have a business that only serves Black people. The only color that really matters is green. But fundamentally, there should be something in that business that absolutely serves your people. And that's how I've conducted my life. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. I want to speak to you from the heart on what I call the four currencies of life. The four currencies of life. The first currency is time. In fact, if you think about this deeply, you are fortunate to be able to die. Why is that, Dr. Fraser? It means that you have overcome millions to one odds. Millions of sperm cells going up the fallopian tube. One breaks away, hits, and fertilizes the egg, and you were born. Wow. Now, when you're born, God gives you time. When the Buddha was asked, what is the biggest mistake that humans make? The Buddha replied, the biggest mistake that humans make is to think they have time. It's like I blinked my eyes and 80 years is gone. 80 years. I will tell people in a New York Minute, do anything but don't waste my time. I will get more money, but I will not get any more time, and I don't know how much time I have, but I'm not going to allow you to waste it.
Come on.
Don't waste your precious time. That is your number one currency. Time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. And once it's lost, you can never get it back. It's the most precious thing you have is time. And it's going to go very fast. There's a saying that work expands to the time allotted. You've heard that saying. If I give you a task and give you 2 weeks to do it, it'll take you 2 weeks. If I give you the same task and give you a month to do it, it'll take a month. There's one exception and the whole thing flips. When you understand your purpose, your raison d'etre, as the French would say, your reason for being, and you are on purpose, it flips. Time expands for the work allotted. That's what you want. You're doing good work, you will get the time. You will know when your work is finished, when you fall into your grave and die empty, because that's what you want. Everything that's in you, you want it to be gone, to have added value, serve it. It's over. Never to appear in that body, mind, and spirit again for the history of humanity. It's mind-boggling when you think about death. You're one time on earth. And how you are, never to be duplicated. It's mind-boggling to me. So I try not to think about death, but I promise you the closer you get to the magic numbers, the average black male lives to be 74. Our women live to be older. And the closer you get to that, the more you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't pine over it. You just think about it. And it speaks to legacy. And that was brought up in those wonderful presentations. What will be your legacy? Hopefully, if you have children, they will be your first legacy. Then the things that you choose to do with your time, the value you choose to add, however that, whatever that may be, the amazing work that you do, the things that you accomplish, the people that you touch, that will be your legacy. Now, why is this important, Dr. Fraser? Because when you're gone, every time somebody mentions your name, you are born again. There are people, Ryan, that we are still talking about literally hundreds, if not thousands of years later. And every time we mention their name or see a statue, they live in some form in our head. That's why legacy is important. So your children are your first. And hopefully when you're gone, they will mention your name. Probably more often than not. You've done a good job. But we know of children that have been born that you actually don't want them to mention your name. We read about those kinds of things, occasionally in the newspaper. So, legacy is extremely important. Time, I cannot say it enough. Don't let anybody waste your time. It's the most precious thing that you have. So when people want you to be somewhere, do something, you have to ask in the quiet of your own mind, not to them, is this the highest and best use of my time right now? Is this something that can add value to people? Is there some movement, positive movement, as a result of me investing and spending my time on that? Sometimes disciplining your children is the highest and best use of your time. There's an interesting study I talk about often called the 3 most productive periods of your life. It's a study done by the New England Journal of Medicine. New England Journal of Medicine was the first medical journal in America. It is considered to be one of the best medical journals in the entire world, and there are many medical journals. And they did a longitudinal study, which means a massive study, on the 3 most productive periods of our lives. The 3rd most productive period of your life is between 50 and 60. The 2nd most productive period of your life is between 70 and 80. And the number 1 most productive period of your life is between 60 and 70. What does that mean, Dr. Fraser? It means that between 0 and 49, you ain't done shit.
That's awesome.
You're just preparing You're just learning your way. In spite of the fact that you've probably done some good things, it pales in comparison to what you are going to do. Now, those things that you've done at a younger age is a really good sign, right? You're pointed in the right direction, but that ain't it. Believe me, it is not it. Almea is here, and I was talking to her, and I asked her, how long have you lived? And she answered the question, but not really the question I was asking. And I said, but you still haven't told me how long you've lived. She told me some things that she's done. And then she gave me her age. I know it's not proper to ask a woman her age, but I didn't ask her that. So there's a lesson in that. Never ask anybody how old they are. Ask them how long have they lived. That frames the question in an entirely different way. Because living and old are two different things. What have you done with the life that you have lived to this point? And those things that you have lived to do are really signals to what you're going to do. So it's very, very important. So time. That's your number one currency. The second currency are relationships. Now, I've written 6 best-selling books on this topic, including a children's book, talking about the power and importance of relationships. Introduce me to your 5 closest friends, and that will tell me who you are. As they know and as they go, so will you. What am I really saying to you? Don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, change your relationships. If you are not where you want to be in life, it's because you don't have the right people in your life. You want to hang with people who are where you want to be. And I wrote this many years ago, it's being used a lot. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong damn room.
That's right.
Come on.
You don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. Just as you don't want to have the most expensive house on the block. What you want to have is the cheapest house on the block, adjacent to the most expensive house.
Come on.
That increases the value of your house. You want to be around smart people. And there is a halo effect being around smart people. So people see you're talking to and you're engaged in wise and smart people. People think you're wise and smart. So it's a trite little thing to say, but it's the truth. And it's not just watching the company that you keep. You gotta watch the company that they keep too. Well, another way to say that is surround yourself with people who fight for you in rooms that you are not in.
Come on.
Those are the kind of people that you want. Stay away from still people, right? Still broke, still complaining,
Come on.
still hating, and still nowhere. Now this is very easy to say, very, very difficult to do. If it was easy, why would God need you? Now, a note of caution here. Never beg for a friendship or a relationship with anyone. If you don't receive the same efforts that you Give, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, ladies and gentlemen, cut them off. Cut them off. Very difficult, though. Very difficult. So, your relationships is the second critical currency. The third critical currency is your reputation. Now, this is huge. The foundation for reputation is what? Character. When you're trustworthy, you can live on the things that you say. Your character, that's your reputation. I say to people all the time, where is the safest place to store your wealth? The answer is it's not in money, because money can deflate. It can be stolen. There are all sorts of ways that you can lose money. The safest place to store your wealth is in your reputation, right? It is the most effective way of developing your reputation, and that is to be of the most service you can possibly be to a person. Screw up your reputation and see what your life looks like. And by the way, it will follow you. And we've seen some pretty extreme examples of this through social media. P. Diddy is the most recent example. I don't know what's going on there. But that which one does in the dark will eventually come to light. Right? Now, some of it may be gossip. I don't know how much is gossip and how much is truth. I don't know. But I know that in gossip, there is always a thread of truth. Your reputation is critical. The final currency is manifested by the proper management of the first three. Your time, your relationships, and your reputation. The final currency is money and wealth. The better you manage those three things, the more wealth you will attain. Generally speaking, are there exceptions to the rule? Yeah. Inheritances, etc., etc. So, in Genesis 1:31, and God saw everything that he made, and behold, he said it was good. That's Genesis 1:31. Do you realize that there's only one time in the entire Bible that God was not happy with his own work? Now this was God. And it's actually in Genesis 2:18, and the Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. He grabbed Adam's rib and he made woman. There is a biblical declaration regarding the power of the human connection. John 5:30. John 5:30. It is a direct quote from Jesus Christ. You realize that there are 800,000 words in the Bible. Only 1,200 of those words are direct quotes from Jesus Christ. John 5:30. And Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing. Now this was Jesus, the Son of God, and he couldn't get it done on his own, by himself, in a vacuum. So what's up with you? Why would you think you could do anything significant, anything worth talking about on on your own by yourself in a vacuum. You cannot. God's love for the human connection is very clear. And He gave us two things to ensure that we connect. This is the brilliance of God. He gave us sex and money. Sex and money. Now, we know that the inspiration for sex is ecstasy. There's no feeling on earth like it. But that is not the goal of sex. What is the goal of sex? The goal of sex is procreation. To create more of God's children to serve you and for you to serve. The second thing God gave us to ensure the human connection is money. How do you earn money? Service. You build a skill or skills. You apply that service to the populace, and you earn money. The more skills you have, the more money you earn. Beyonce, we've been watching her singing and dancing since she was a kid. She mastered her skills, and now when you want to see Beyonce, you go to a stadium and pay $250 for a bleacher seat, and you can watch Beyonce. So, it was Malcolm Gladwell, one of my favorite authors, who said, the most common attribute of the rich are friends, contacts, and connections. The rich people have a lot of friends. The measure of your wealth, quite frankly, is other people. That's really what it is. The measure of your wealth is other people. One human being serving another equals wealth. So, this whole idea of the human connection is critical, because without other people to serve you and for you to serve, you have nothing. I mean, really, you have nothing. I call the human connection customer service. And for me, customer service is close to worship service. We make money by giving and serving and adding value, not taking. So what's the bottom line on that, Dr. Fraser? Give until it hurts, and then give until it feels good. If you have nothing, it's because you've given nothing. That you cannot take out of life that which you have not put into life. Just as you cannot take out of the bank that which you put into the bank. Now, you don't have to believe Dr. Fraser. Go on down to Bank of America. You're going to take something out of Bank of America that you have not put in, and let's see what happens. So really, giving is almost like a deposit into a spiritual banking account. That's why you have to give unconditionally. I'm not giving you what I'm giving you based on a condition. It's based on, this is what I want to give you, and this is what I can give you. And I'm not expecting anything in return. All I know is that I deposited into the spiritual bank of giving. And it may not come back from you directly, it may come some other way. But this is biblical. If you ain't giving, you ain't getting. If you have nothing, important to understand this. I've been teaching and preaching the gospel of giving and networking for basically 45 years of my life. I speak on it and I write on it simply because it's what I've learned, and that which I've learned, I have to develop some vessel, whether it's through voice or through the written word, to share it with the masses. It's crazy to keep this to myself, but for what? No, it was given to me to give to others. So you develop the best vessel that you can. There should not be a black leader or go-getter that has not written a damn book. And today with AI, you have no excuse. Whatever you have learned at whatever stage of life that you're in, get it out of your head and put it on paper. You could develop a little funnel on the internet and you can monetize it. People buy thousands of these little quick written books every day. Share your knowledge. It was given to you, you've invested in getting it, and ultimately to monetize it. To add value to other people's lives and to add value to your life. I think everybody in this room, as you took your time on Saturday morning to be here. So I think you leaders, but I've redefined leadership for our people. And I think to be a leader is to be awake and alert and to be dissatisfied at all times. Yes, we have come a long way, but we have much further to go. Therefore, I am not happy, but I am motivated by a positive anger directed towards positive change. Let me say that a different way. Yes, we must change. There's a system for change. But you will never change that which you tolerate. You will only change when you get angry. People will not change when they see the light. People will change when they feel the heat. You will change your shoes when your feet hurt. Change is a system for change. And it's biblical. What is the first step in change? Words. What does the Bible tell us? First, there was the Word. So all of these incredible speakers, Ryan, myself, are speaking words into you. That's the first thing. You gotta first hear it. The second step in change is consciousness. Perhaps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things you might hear throughout the day will heighten your consciousness about that thing that moved you, that was said by Ryan, me, or others. And from the heightened consciousness, we get passionate. We get excited about what we heard. And from that excitement, you take action. You don't take action just from words. It is something that wakens your consciousness and you get excited and then you take action. That's the fourth step in change. And the fifth step in change is the mere definition. The fifth step in change is change. Those are the four things. That's how it works, in case you've never dissected. How do you, what facilitates change in our lives? It's those four things that happen. It does not necessarily have to be sequentially, but they happened. Something happened in your brain, and then the final thing that happened triggered the action and ultimately the change. Change is important, but you have to start slowly. Why is that, Dr. Fraser? Because direction is more important than speed.
That's good.
45 years ago, I started a business. 7 years into the business, I had to file bankruptcy. My bankruptcy at the time made the newspapers in Cleveland. George Fraser filed bankruptcy. So they wanted to interview me. And they wanted to know, here you are, very invested and followed leader, respected leader in Cleveland, and you filed bankruptcy. What happened? I said, actions very simple. Speed and greed. You analyze most failures, especially around business, it's speed and greed. I tried to do something faster than it should have been done. I was producing a beautiful directory, coffee table quality directory called Success Guide, the networking guide to find resources. Hugely successful in Cleveland. Sponsored by corporate ads. And it was, I really wanted to put Black Pages out of business, if you really wanted to know the secret. I don't know if you remember Black Pages, but it was a very sort of imitation of the Yellow Pages, but none quite as well. And I just thought that that was not the image that we should have of Black business people, Black professionals. We needed something glossier, that had more depth to it, and more color regarding our color. And so produced Success Guide was an immediate success. I made a fortune. One directory in Cleveland. Everybody said, wow, this is really good. We need one of these in every urban center in America. They started. I said, oh, really? Okay. So I'm just going to be candid with you. For the one I did in Cleveland, I wish I'd bought a sample so you could see it. It was beautiful. I have a picture of it. I made over $400,000 for just one directory. So when someone told me, people I know respected, said this needs to be done in every urban center in America, I'm thinking, oh, let me see, I can think of 7 or 8 urban centers. And so I expanded from 1, Ryan. The next year, we were doing 7. Now, wrong. You pick another city within a reasonable circumference of where the main city is. How Walmart opened, by the way, if you know the story of Sam Walton, that's how he built Walmart. He started one little discount store. There's a whole story I have about Sam Walton. And then, because I talked to him in an interview, I was in a leadership position with Procter & Gamble way back in the day. And it was my responsibility to engage and build a relationship with this guy named Sam Walton, because he was opening small discount stores. He had about 5 of them, and they felt really, and so he explained to me, I opened up 5, but you notice that they're all within a 20-mile radius, Mr. Fraser. And he said, that's so that I can visit them on a regular basis to make sure that they were following the values and the principles of Walmart. That made a hell of a lot of sense, right? Well, I didn't follow his advice. What does that white man know, right? So I expanded from 1 to 7 publications and did not properly vet the people who wanted to do it in the city, see if they had the requisite skills to replicate the model, right? And they didn't. And ultimately, that decision, a fast decision, really based on greed, put me into bankruptcy. Right? But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with bankruptcy so long as you learn something.
That's right.
Right? And I learned a lot. So, that's my Walmart story, and that's my bankruptcy story. Now, I want to talk a little bit about networking. I could talk about why this black wealth in decline, but you're going to have some networking exercises. So I want to give you a couple of things that I've